Hello and welcome to episode 206 of Ferg on the Freak. I'm that bloke from Rugby League Project, Andrew Ferguson. You can find me on Twitter at AndrewRLP. Joining me as always is the silky smooth League Freak. You can find on Twitter at League Freak. How you going there, mate?
Hi, Andrew. It's a pretty big day today for the podcast, isn't it?
It is a glorious day for the podcast. We've got a bit of big news, haven't we?
We do. Now, okay, this is what it comes down to. You know when you go out on a big date, you got a big date that's coming up, right? So you make sure your hair's all done. You might, buy yourself a new outfit, get all your best cologne and your deodorant and stuff. Pick out your shoes because, you want to wear the right shoes for it and stuff. Go into your watches. You go and pick out the right watch for the right occasion. And all
Watches?
That sort of, yeah, watches.
Pick the right watches for the occasion.
Yeah. Then you think you're set, right? But you're not. Okay. Because when you drop your pants, you don't want it to look like Jules out of fucking Pulp Fiction is coming out of your pants, You want to look like you're maintained and you've got all your shit together. And that's why you need Manscaped. If you go to manscaped.com and you put in the code NRL, you'll get 20% off of any purchase at manscaped.com. And that's courtesy of Ferg on the Freak. They're a new sponsor.
What a fantastic pairing.
It really is. It's a match made in heaven. And it's cool that 20% off. That's absolutely huge. And you look through their range of stuff. They've got some really good stuff. They've got the Lawnmower 3.0, which I personally recommend. That'll just get the job done perfectly. You'll get yourself match ready, which is what it all comes down to. So go to manscaped.com. That's manscaped.com. Put in the promo code NRL and you will get 20% off and you will also get free shipping.
Mate, I'm going to have to stop you talking soon, otherwise you're going to keep giving shit away.
It's fantastic. It's just the best deal ever. You get it for your significant other, get it for yourself.
Your insignificant other?
Just everyone. And it's seriously fantastic, let me tell you. Personal experience. We're going to talk a lot more about it as the podcast goes on over time. But manscaped.com, chuck in NRL, and you'll get 20% off and free shipping. So go there and get it done.
Absolutely. You'll be smoother than Todd Greenberg's head.
Oh, it'll be fantastic. Your cags will look like Peter Sterling's head. And that's what you want.
Oh, exactly right. Now, speaking of great deals, It's been announced and finally revealed today that the Gold Coast Titans have got their man David Fifita on a 3-year deal worth over $3 million.
Yeah, big deal. It's funny, on Saturday morning, Anthony Seibold come out and he said, there's no way we're losing David Fifita. And David Fifita was gone about an hour and a half later. So that worked out really well for the Broncos.
Yeah, it's fitting that Seibold's defence on the field is just as shit as it is off the field.
Yeah, pretty much, hey. It's look, I think that they're always gonna have to pay overs to get someone. He's a quality player, he's a young player. And they're rolling the dice with him. I think that he'll be a pretty good buy for them. He's going to help bolster that forward pack of theirs, which will be good. And, it's a bit of a shot across the bow of the Broncos. They've always, the Ash Taylor was the signing that I think they thought was going to be the shot across the bow. Didn't end up being that way, unfortunately. But I think Fifita is definitely a much higher quality player.
Oh, absolutely.
He's a test quality player, if you ask me.
Absolutely is. It's a great piece of work by the Titans. If you're going to go overs, you may as well go overs for someone who has a entire future of potential growth ahead of them, and they're already at that level where they're knocking on the door of test selection.
Yeah, and
that's the right person to go overs on.
100%, and he's not having to travel very far from where he lives. Apparently, he went to high school on the Gold Coast as well. So I think it's a good move for them. And it's going to be interesting to see what they can do once they move some of those older contracts out. I know that there was news that Ryan James, he could be on his way to Canberra pending a medical assessment. I don't know why Canberra would want to sign him. He hasn't played. He's played 6 games since the start of 2019, which
Yeah.
just isn't enough. And I had a look today. He's played 10 seasons, and only in 5 of them has he ever played more than 20 games, which to me is just not good enough.
No, and that's not a criticism of him as a player. It's just the fact that he has suffered a lot of bad injuries in his career.
Yeah.
He has literally only this week turned 29.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, if he can get back to full fitness, he's probably going to have a good 4 to 5 years of good football left in him. But it's a big risk to take.
It really is, yeah. And look, if Canberra gets a fully fit Ryan James, it's a good signing.
Oh, bloody oath it is.
But what are the odds of that? 50%?
And that's the problem you're going to have, is that a fully fit Ryan James is going to be worth $500,000 a year easy.
Yeah.
But when you'll get a Ryan James and you don't know if he's going to be fully fit or not, how do you put a price on that? You don't want to undermine him and offer him $150,000 because that's what he might deserve if he only plays 6 games every year.
Yeah.
But if he plays the full season, then you've completely ripped the poor bastard off.
Yeah, and look, when it comes to players, I put a real premium on those players that you go into the season with and you don't have to think of them again. I think that was one of Petro Sivanasiva's great strengths, was that if you sign Petro Sivanasiva, you got him for every single game that year and the next year and the next year.
Yeah.
I personally am the sort of person that would avoid, it doesn't matter how good they are, I would just avoid injury-prone players.
Yeah, sometimes it can be a risk that pays off. It doesn't happen often, but the obvious one that sticks out for me is when West Tigers signed Scott Prince.
Yep.
You don't hear of it too often happening, though.
No.
And
I'm trying to think, is there anybody that was super injury-prone that has been this like a one-off signing that a club really got a lot out of?
Scott Prince is the only one that comes to my mind, because he went from being suffering all sorts of weird different injuries. It wasn't even the same thing all the time to 2 years later winning a premiership for the Tigers and playing Origin and Test footy and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he actually went on to avoid injury for much of the rest of his career, which is quite interesting. He got them all out of the way early.
I wonder if you could, I guess you could say James Tedesco, in his first game, he blew his knee out. So you could see where that would be a sort of like a red flag, but it touch wood. If you look at the rest of his career, he's not an injury-prone player. It just seems like it was a one-off.
Not long after he came back for the Tigers from that knee injury, because he missed an entire year after that. Played the first game, missed every other game that year, I believe. He came back, and it was a game against Canberra. And he fielded a restart. And I think the ball went on the ground or something. He bent over to pick it up, and as he was going to do that, Terry Campese came running in and tackled him, and their knees collided, and Tedesco broke his kneecap.
I remember that, actually. Because you thought that he'd done his knee again.
Yeah. And it was an absolute freak of an accident.
That decision for him to sit out an entire year was a really smart one when you look back at it.
Yeah. So, do you think that the signing of Fifita is going to lead to other, very genuinely good players wanting to move to the Titans?
I don't know that it will. I don't know that he's the sort of player that's going to attract other players. But at least it shows that the Titans aren't just going to look for other people's scraps anymore, which they've done that for so long. There's not too many real marquee signings that they've had that were like in the prime of their career or at the top of their game. And I think Fifita really looks like one of those players that, when he's playing and he's in form, he's unstoppable. He's incredible. Ash Taylor was more of a signing for the future, and that hasn't panned out. I think it's someone like a a Scott Prince. He was more about getting an experienced head at the club. Luke Bailey was the same thing. Preston Campbell was kind of the same thing as well. There's not really too many players that they've signed that you've been like, oh wow, he's a gun, and they've finally got one, So, but I think it's a building block for sure, and you don't have to put too much around David Fifita to make a pretty damn good forward pack.
Well, this is what I'm looking at. Is you look at some of the names they've got there. They're going to have a pretty good forward pack for next year because they've bought Herman SASA as well from the Knights. He'll be turning up for 2021-22. Moeaki for Tuiaka is an absolute gun of a prop. Keegan Hipgrave, he's off contract at the end of the year, but he's a very good, hard-running second rower. I quite like the way he plays. Also got Jared Wallace there for another 3 years. Jai Whitbread's there for 2 more years. Jai Arrow's off contract at the end of the year.
Yeah, Jai Arrow was supposed to go to South Sydney. It seems like he will, but I don't think he's actually signed with them yet, from what I've seen.
I've not heard anything getting along those lines either, so it's hard to know, but there's plenty to work with there already just with what they've got. Young Beau Fermor looks like he's going to be a pretty good signing as well. Let's not forget they've got Bryce Cartwright for another year.
Yeah, I mean, old Brycey, he's great.
But they do have a fair bit of, player churn sort of set to come up at the end of this year and next year.
Yeah, and that's what they need. They need to get rid of some of the dead wood there, and there's a lot of dead wood there. But replacing it with someone like Fifita, I think it's a good move. I really do.
Yeah, no, they've got the makings of a good forward pack there, which I think's a good thing to work with. They need some halves. Maybe Brimson can move into the 5/8 role. I think they need to move on from the Ash Taylor experiment. I know he's got another year to go on his contract, but
yeah,
why struggle with that any longer?
Yeah, as soon as they can move him on, they should. I don't know how they will facilitate that, but they should do everything they can to facilitate it.
Well, there's one team out there at the moment that's picking up lots of talent. Mr. Trent Barrett, who's been signed as the Bulldogs coach, that's now been announced.
Well, look, the signing of Kotrick, if I'm looking at the Bulldogs, right, and I think, what do they need? I'm not thinking of Kotrick, but I can make some, he's a good player. He's a solid player, big, strong dude. But then Scott, who is watching Scott play football this year?
Well, no one, because he's not on the field.
Yeah, and there's for a good reason, He's been absolutely abysmal when he's played. It's kind of crazy that anybody would be looking at signing him.
Yeah, he's bad. But given that they've got Kieran Foran coming off contract,
would you keep Foran?
If the other alternative was Ash Taylor, yes, I'd keep Kieran Foran.
I would get rid of Kieran Foran.
Oh yeah, they've got to get rid of him. There's absolutely no point in keeping him. But I'd be worried that Barrett might be looking at Ash Taylor, given that he might be coming off contract. He's young. That's
Bulldogs fans will blow up. Deluxe.
Surprised they're not already. But they've got to do something there. They need. I think I'd rather see them have an experienced six next to Lewis.
They will. You know what? There was rumours that they might sign Burton from the Panthers, who is a really good young player. The only reason he's not playing 5/8 at the Panthers is that Luai is playing great footy and probably has just a touch more experience from his test footy that he plays, his international footy. So, and Burton, he needs to be somewhere. He's a first grade 5/8. He just needs the opportunity to make a spot his own.
He might end up at the Titans.
His quality, he'll get it.
He might end up at the Titans. Because I'll tell you what, I think Justin Holbrook's doing a pretty damn good at assembling a squad there.
Well, at least he's aiming high,
Yeah.
And he's not thinking I'll get some project, I'll rehab a busted player.
That's right. He's not chasing old broken down players at the twilight of their career. He's going for a young squad that he can work with for a number of years.
Yeah, and
And
like I don't want to see them going after like a Cohen Hess and being like, oh, we can get the best out of Cohen Hess. We'll just fix his attitude. They can't do that anymore.
nah, because that's just not going to work. They need to get proven performers and knowing that they can get better. And I think they've made a great signing there with Fifita, obviously. And I think the signing of him and SA is a pretty good one too, because he's a very reliable forward. And I think he'll probably be, a bench rotation player, if not a lock.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to have a pretty good pack.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how big of a difference it makes for them next year when they all come together, and if it's a big leap forward for them. Because you have to have a good pack in the NRL now. Like, if you haven't got a good pack, you're nowhere. And I look at a team like the Tigers, who have a pretty solid forward pack. They're not bad. There's at least you can build around that. If you've got to build a forward pack from scratch around, a good halfback and you've got no one else, you're nowhere.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with that. So I think things are looking good there for the Titans. The Bulldogs, though, they look like they're going... It was such a bad idea signing Trent Barrett. And now you look at some of the names they're starting to sign, where they're spending money. Fancy's putting nearly $1 million a year into a winger.
Yeah, who's like, even if you say, well, they're going to play him at centre, like, that's too much for a centre, first of all. And it's not like you watch Kotrick and you're like, wow, he tears it up in the centres.
Do you think they're going to move him to fullback?
Oh, man, when I look at him, I don't see a fullback.
Neither do I. But
I
given
think
the money
eventually he'll be a second rower, hey?
He's a sizable unit.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's the Trent Barrett idea, is we'll make him a fullback, given the money they've paid him. I wonder if they've even promised it to him.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of money.
It is, especially when that's the least of their concerns.
Do you reckon if, say you're an NRL club and you need a good fullback, right? How many players do you look at in the game and go, we need a fullback, he would do the job, bang, get him? Like, I think of Valentine Holmes up at North Queensland, and they've spent a lot of money to get him, but he's a winger. He's a winger. That's it. It's a big gamble. But then you get someone like, say, a Greg Inglis, who's just like an easy choice. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to be a fullback, no worries. And then you get a Latrell Mitchell, who he'll be fine, I think. But it's a big gamble to just decide this guy who's not a fullback, I'm going to play him at fullback.
Yeah,
and he's going to be our marquee player at fullback.
I think what most clubs need is they need to have a mix of that, youth, a bit of experience, and a bit of X factor in their spine. Mm-hmm. I think the teams who have got, one talented youngster, one solid, reliable old head, and one freak in the spine, they're the teams that are the biggest threat.
Yeah.
You're not going to see teams who have got, okay players, or a bunch of players who are either old, or a bunch that are young, or a bunch that are, you've got to have a mixture. And if the Bulldogs get rid of Foran at the end of the year and they bring in another young half, they've got a very young spine. Even with DWZ, he's not that old. He'll be the most experienced half of spine member they've got there.
Mm. And you know what, DWZ, I mean, the way he's playing this year.
Yeah, this is the thing. I was gutted when the Tigers fell out of the race for him. Now I'm actually not too disappointed.
Yeah, I was pissed off when the Panthers let him go, and now I watch him and I think to myself, like, I feel like he needs to go back to the Panthers. But not on much money, and I don't think that there's a place for him. That's the problem.
I actually think he would be best at the Warriors.
Oh, you reckon?
Yeah, because I think he would be challenged by RTS, and I think that's what he'd need.
Yeah.
I'd be the coach and I'd say to him, Dallin, we think you're a fullback, and we'd like to give you fullback money. you've got to outperform that other bloke that's currently there. And I think RTS would like to be sitting in that conversation and say, bring it, bitch. And I think DWZ would play up to that because we saw what happened when he got put into the position of RTSs in the test side.
He was incredible.
They said, right, you've now got to be RTS. You've got to be the captain. You've got to be the fullback. You've got to show us what you can do. And he was absolute gun.
Yeah, he was a monster. He was unstoppable. It was crazy. And you want him to have that. And physically, he's a gifted player. He really is. But the effort is not there. And he's become lazy. Like you could never say when he was at the Panthers that he was lazy. There would be times where he would float in and out of games from time to time, but he was never lazy. He's become lazy at the Bulldogs, which is a real worry.
No, that's exactly right. So I do wonder if Kotrick might be brought in to sort of fix the gap there. I don't think he's going to fix it if they put him at fullback, but I wonder if that's the Barrett mentality. We'll bring someone else in and try them at fullback, and we'll pay a lot of money for them.
I just hope that they've got lots of chairs. I think that's their biggest concern. Like if they don't have chairs.
At the moment, I believe $1 million of the cap has been set aside to go to Bunnings and just buy lots of plastic chairs.
$1 million. I wonder how many. I'm sure that there's how much are them chairs? They're like $9.
Yeah, well, you can get the fold away ones. The picnic ones. You can get those for a bit cheaper, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we do know he's not a fan of having to bring his own stuff. So they've probably already bought a new desk, even though there's probably already one there at Belmore. They'll buy another desk just so he's got two.
Do you know? I've been told there was a CEO of a club who didn't have a computer.
Justin Potato.
No. I'm not going to say who it is.
No, I'm certain it's Justin Potato. He's currently working out contracts and stuff like that using an abacus.
He's not thinking about Madison though. That's the main thing.
Oh no! Not thinking about Ryan Madison. No. Even if you mention Ryan Madison, I won't think about Ryan Madison.
No, he was like, who?
Whoison?
So yeah. Hey, do you think that the contract that David Fifita got? I had this put to me by a follower on Twitter. Do you think that it will change the player market?
No.
I tend to think it won't either. I think that because they said to me, well, what about Kickow? If Fifita's worth that much money, Kickow's $1 million player. I think he probably is pretty close to $1 million player as it is, the way he's so damaging and how important he is to the Panthers. So I don't think it's going to really change too much.
No, that's right. The difference being, though, Fifita's several years younger than Kickow.
Yeah.
That is a factor.
Who would you rather in your team tomorrow, fully fit, Kickow or Fifita?
I'd probably take Fifita.
Okay.
That's only if we're talking long term. If we're talking about I need to win games this year, then I'm going to take Kickow.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Kickow's not that old though.
No, he's not that old, but he's not he's not as young as Fifita is.
Yes, Fifita. Is Fifita 20 yet?
So Kickow's 25.
Okay, yeah. I'm cool with that. So, see, for a big dude like Kickow, I think 25, I reckon he could still play for another 10 years.
Yeah. Fifita turned 20 in February.
There you go.
He's got 5 years on him. Well, that's the thing is, that means Kickow's still 5 years away from peaking.
Yeah.
Why would you buy Fifita now? He's still got 10 years before he peaks.
Did you see Jack Johns' debut for South? It was a rough one.
No, I didn't see it.
Yeah, he did all right. He didn't do anything over the top, but man, he was unlucky with a couple of. He got in a head clash at one point. He got absolutely his first run, I think it was. He got absolutely destroyed in a tackle, and it was just one of those games where it was like it was just rough for him. He didn't play bad. It was just rough, and. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But I thought it was funny that he'd played for Italy in international footy. They were saying that he played for Italy through
his mother.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because I remember on Twitter I was blocked by the Italian Rugby League because I was pointing out that their lineup was about as Italian as I am, which is not at all.
I do remember that game he played for Italy. He didn't play very well, and it was against Ireland. I think he got hooked at half time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It'd be interesting. Well, he's got a taste of first grade footy now, so we'll see what he does with it.
Yeah, a part of me is worried about that kid, and
Why is that?
not about his ability.
Mm.
It's about the fact his father is in the media all the time, acting like a dick, and he might take the opportunity to do this shit to distract his son from playing properly as well. And having an uncle that's an immortal, just having that surname, there's just going to be so many comparisons. The fact that he plays as a halfback, he's going to be compared to those two. They're going to be mucking around. Matty's going to be mucking around with him, and he's going to be in the media a lot. And a lot of the time it's not going to be because he chose to be there. And it's a bit unfair on him because there's nothing he can do about it. Like, you can say no to a lot of it, but a lot of it is, you can say no, he's still going to be in there.
Yeah, and like if you looked at the coverage tonight, there was a lot of fanfare and stuff around it all, and they really focused on him a lot. It was a little bit unfair for a dude in his first NRL game.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that he's able to forge his own career and play the way he wants to, and not have that stuff distract him too much from what he's paid to do, I guess.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
I guess that's pretty much it for the episode.
Yeah, just a quick episode for our listeners, putting it out Sunday. So hopefully you all have a good Sunday. A couple of good games coming up.
Yeah, I don't know which ones they are.
Well, Penrith take on the Gold Coast Titans, which will be interesting. Well, Penrith have a lot of injuries.
That's the ball terror.
Yeah,
because we've got the best team in Queensland against the best team in Sydney since the game resumed.
Best team in the world, Andrew.
Okay.
Best team in the world.
Okay.
We are.
Okay.
If only there was some sort of ranking system someone could put together. Who
could we ask?
I don't know. I'll work on it.
Okay.
I've got one day to work on it, all right? I'll find someone.
Okay. All right. And if you can't find someone, I've got something in the, as a fallback.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Good. So
Alrighty.
where can people find us?
People can find us. We're on Twitter at FergoFreakPod. We're on Instagram at FergoFreakPod. You can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, which I just said, obviously. LinkedIn, that was the other one.
We're on Facebook too.
Yeah, we're on Facebook.
And Twitter.
Don't forget we're on Facebook and Twitter.
Instagram.
We're also a podcast. If you've got a podcast device and you tune in and listen to us, you'll hear us talking about our podcast on that podcast device. Fantastic technology these days.
Listen. Yeah, if people should listen to our podcast, I think they'd be surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can catch our podcast on the device that you're using right now to listen to it on.
Yeah.
How good's that? You don't even have to think about it. It's just there.
We have the technology.
It's fantastic. You're at League Freak. I'm at Andrew RLP.
Mm-hmm.
People can donate to our Patreons.
Yep, we're our patrons.
We've got patreon.com/League Freak.
Mm-hmm. No spaces.
Go there and support independent writing, sports rugby league writing.
Yep.
Content creation.
Website hosting.
Yeah. Website owning and buying.
Yep.
Website
There's
trading.
a lot of them. There's so much of them.
Do you have your own currency yet? Freak coin.
Imagine that.
You need to get in on that. You can also go to the one I've got via my Rugby League Project website, www.patreon.com/RLproject. And you can make monthly donations there from as little as $1 on mine, as little as $3 on Freaky's one.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll all help. And of course, don't forget Manscaped.
Manscaped, go to manscaped.com, put in the promo code NRL, 20% off of everything plus free shipping. And that's just for our listeners.
Yeah, not anyone else. So
no.
Make sure you get that done. That'd be
fantastic. Get it done. And I tell you what, anybody that does buy a product from manscaped.com with the code NRL, show us. Get in touch with us and say, hey, have a look what I bought, fellas. Right? Because
you don't have to get the smooth cags out, but if you want to, just send them to Freaky's Twitter account. He's pretty keen on that stuff.
No, don't send it to my Twitter account. Send it to my email, podcast@leaguefreak.com.
He'll rate them out of 10. Guaranteed.
You get 5 for each CAG.
That's right, and he'll give 5 for each.
If you go there and you buy something, let us know, and we'll say your name on the podcast. We'll say, hey, guess what? So-and-so purchased this, so-and-so purchased that. But I'm telling you, my recommendation, the Lawnmower 3.0, that gets the job done.
If we went and told people that, on the website that, this person's bought the Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0.
Yeah.
Our website's going to come a little bit Tinderish.
It'll be good. It'll be fantastic. Our goal here is to have the most maintained listeners in the entire podcasting world. Okay?
Absolutely.
There's no bushes on Fergo and the Freak.
We're here for you, people.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks for that. That was another magnificent, glorious episode. And we'll catch you all next time.